Welcome to Speaking of Business. I'm Goldie Hyder of the Business Council of Canada. When COVID-19 started to spread in Canada, our lives changed almost overnight. Suddenly, we became more dependent than ever before on technology. And as we learn how to coexist with the virus over the coming months, we will be relying on new technology to help us through even more. My guest today is a true champion of innovation. As President and CEO of Siemens Canada, Faisal Kazi oversees 4,000 employees who are focused on finding solutions to some of the biggest challenges of our time, including sustainable energy, intelligent infrastructure, healthcare, and manufacturing. Welcome to the podcast, Faisal. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much, Goldie. Thank you for having me here.
Well, let's jump right in. Siemens, of course, a well-known global company, or it's a leader here in Canada. Talk to us about how the pandemic has changed the way you're operating, both nationally and perhaps even globally.
Yes, Goldie, it actually changed quite a bit. And as you know, we just to give you an idea, Siemens in Canada at least has about 44 offices. We have about 10 factories, and we are electrifying, automating, and digitalizing all the critical infrastructure in this country, from energy to industry to healthcare. And once we realized the situation with COVID-19, we had to actually pivot really fast. And we were essential suppliers, so we had to keep our operations open. Nevertheless, we said, the health and safety of our employees will be the number one priority. Having said that, we could categorize our employees into three categories. So the first category being the employees who are going into the offices. And fortunately, we have been driving, remote working for a long time. So a lot of our employees are very used to working from home. So what we said to them is that, if you can work from home, then you must work from home. Here, the challenge was more, maintaining the IT, the bandwidth of our networks, etc., to, from about 20% people working remotely to now suddenly switching to more than 90 or 95%. And I'm glad, our IT folks got that correct. And so the systems are working well, but it's a big change. So the people going into the offices, of course, we have to ensure the cleaning is hospital grade cleaning. We ensure that we are keeping the physical distancing. We have screenings and registrations, so all the measures are in place. The second set of employees category is the people who are running the factories, and the factories had to run. And this was, I would say, a bigger responsibility, and our people were going in, and we had to, of course, implement first all the measures of physical distancing and, cleaning and screening, etc. But what we had to actually remap our working processes and to ensure that our process is set up now in a way that the process doesn't allow people to come closer to each other. So there was remapping in our factories. And then, of course, we went to double shifts or triple shifts to ensure that at a given time, we don't have a full workforce in the factory. So that was quite a change, and we managed through that. The other element is, of course, the service employees. There we have all the protection equipment has been provided to our employees, but there is an aspect which we don't control. And that's why we are very, very focused on that. And that is the sites where they are going to our customers. We have to make sure that those sites are, fulfilling the requirements of physical distancing, etc., and our employees would be safe. So that's brought in another process of, checking the status of the site before sending our employees there. And we have a logo is no job has priority over safety. So that's the principle we are following, and we are running the operations. To your question on globally, I think we have proven our resiliency. Our supply chains are running, so very, very well running. And also the same status as in Canada, our operations have been running. Of course, in countries like India and other countries like Spain, Italy, during the crisis, we had to shut down factories and offices. But we are well managing. We are a big community. We talk every week, all the CEOs of the different Siemens organizations, and we are working through it.
Well, that's great. Thank you for sharing that with us. It gives our listeners a good picture of what it means to be an essential service and yet make sure that safety and well-being of employees is paramount. Now, you also mentioned customers in your response there. So I want to ask you, what are you hearing from customers, particularly as we get ready to restart the economy? You know, I saw a LinkedIn post from you that talked about how the IoT can be a contributor to create a safe workplace. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, Goldie. So I think now we all want to get the economy back and we want to get back into business. But we also, I think everybody who I talk to says, the health and safety is number one priority. And that is where, innovation is coming in. And we have our digital building IoT applications. It's a IoT app which allows us to, manage the building occupancy. Even it can run analytics on how many people are where, how is the occupancy of the building. We can do thermal assessments. And if you have visitors coming in, you can track the visitors, how they are moving within the business. And it allows also social distancing. So this app, which has been there, but we have enhanced it, I think is going to play a crucial role to people like me and you when we are asking our people to go back into the offices. I don't feel comfortable today, and I rather have IoT application which is monitoring this, so I know exactly what's going on. And a very interesting fact is about the elevators. And so we have in our office said only one person per elevator. And you can imagine now what kind of a traffic jam that can create in front of the elevator. So our guys have come up with that innovation as well. So you can call the elevator on demand, so you don't need to stand there. And once your turn comes, it's going to ring the bell on your mobile phone and you can go there. So I think this is something we are really, looking forward to bring this technology into Canada and give it to our colleagues and to the industry to use and ensure that people are safe, that we ramp up the economy back while this crisis is going on in a safe and in a secure manner.
I must say I'd heard of, as few as 4 to an elevator, but I had not heard one. So that's taking it to a whole new level. But as you said, technology can be an enabler and facilitate safety at the same time. What other examples do you have? Because I know you're huge on innovation, as I said in my introduction, and it's often said that necessity is the mother of invention. What are some of the innovations that you're developing now or down the road that you think will help us get through this situation?
So, Goldie, I think you're right. What I see now is that there is a significant acceleration towards digitalization. And what I also realized that the solutions, which we already had, were not maybe fully utilized. So, like we have currently our remote services, we had our smart grid solutions, the digital building solutions, the digital design and simulation tools. And this crisis have, pushed us to use them more, and they are proving to be very, very efficient. So I'll give you from our digital grid side an example. So one of the Canadian provinces suspended the time of use for electricity rate just to help the people in the province. And we use this energy IP system, which is the backbone of the system. We could seamlessly, fulfill that wish of the government and managing, the back end billing processes for all the people. So that's something, the technology came in where we are also seeing current technologies. The hospitals have different requirements now. They want secure, clean rooms. They want a different kind of a nurse call system. They want pressurized control environments. So we have implemented wireless locks and technologies which are making sure that our frontline workers, the people who are working in the hospital, etc., are secure. So this is ongoing. And there are many more examples. But to your question on new innovations, I think the first step for us was when we have been following Germany, Spain as part of a global company and the US. The first step was to create a concept for temporary healthcare facilities, mobile healthcare facilities, conversion of facilities of hotels and other buildings into hospitals. I'm luckily, I think in Canada, we didn't see that crisis, which we saw elsewhere in New York and other places. But we are ready for that. We have a concept for that, and we are ready to implement. What I'm really proud, we have pivoted fast. We are going to now launch in Canada the COVID testing. So we not only it's about positive testing of the COVID cases, but also antibodies testing. So this is something our healthcare business, Siemens Healthineers, is going to launch end of this month. And then, as I said, these IoT applications, this is, I think, a game changer. It not only safeguards people going into the buildings, but it is also, increasing the efficiency of the buildings and reducing the energy consumption, because it has also elements like controlling the light. So depending on how the sun is shining outside, the dimmers will automatically dim the light. So in our own office, we could reduce the consumption of electricity by almost 50% in the areas we have installed that. So these are technologies, and I tell you, Goldie, we have a list of these new technologies. 2 weeks ago, we had 2 pages full of these technologies. Last week in our global call, we had 4 pages. So people are coming up with new innovations. And that's what I really like, that the bright side of this is that it has accelerated innovation everywhere.
Well, I can hear it in your voice. I can hear the excitement in your voice. And you're right. This is a common theme I've heard in a lot of my CEO interviews. And that is, on the one hand, it's driven innovation, which is obviously a good thing, but it's also accelerated the adoption of that innovation and the digital transformation on the customer side. So certainly a legacy on the positive of this unfortunate situation we're in. Let's talk a little bit more about Siemens from a global perspective. You've launched a global fund to help those in need during this crisis. Tell us how it works.
Yes, Goldie. So I think we in our top management teams and our management board, I think we said, this is the time for a company like Siemens, which is 172 years old, to give back to society. I know it's a difficult time for ourselves, for our employees, for all of us. So that's the spirit. We want to give back. And so we launched under the branding of Siemens Caring Hand, a global fund to support people in need globally. And it has two elements. The first element is employee donations. We have very generous employees, and Siemens has said that every dollar donated by our employees will be matched by the company. So this is this starts. And then the second element is the commitment of the senior management. And we, as a senior management across the world, have committed that we will donate our entitlements from our own entitlements. And I'm actually quite proud to say that we just started some weeks ago, and at the moment we have already have more than 11 million euros collected, which is a pretty impressive sum. It will be like 16, 17 million Canadian dollars. And we are going to give it to the people and to the organizations which need them most.
That's phenomenal. What an incredible program that is. Thank you for sharing that with us. And thank you for the leadership that you and your company are showing. I also heard that your employees are getting in on the action to do good as well, and they're volunteering their time to refurbish computers. Tell us about that program.
Yes, Goldie. So that's a program we are really proud of. We have been doing it for some years now. And just to give you a background, so, all our employees are equipped with high-end computers because industrial applications are running on our computers. But after a couple of years, we replaced them. And what we saw that our computers, even if we are replacing for our heavy high-end applications, they are powerful enough to manage applications which a normal person would use, like Microsoft Office or emails and surfing, etc. So what we do is these computers need to be cleaned up, they need to be reconfigured. So we have a volunteers program. About 750 employees of Siemens Canada have volunteered in the past. So we come together, we refurbish these computers, and then we donate them. So we have donated around 4,000 computers to date. And as this COVID crisis came in March, since March, we've already done more than 500. I think there was a lot of 500, and then we did just recently 80 computers, which we donate to people, and actually especially schools and children's, because, we started this program as access to technology, and it very quickly changed into access to education, because you have also kids. And, a child now going to high school or in school just cannot survive without a computer. And not everybody in Canada has the ability, if you have 3 or 4 children, to give them computers. So it's changed to access to education. And so we are donating them through our partners like United Way. And I'd like to share that, because this program, we had to come together, we needed IT specialists, came to also to a halt because of COVID, because we could not come together. And our facility in Peterborough, they started an initiative. They said, we will refurbish these computers at home. So all these computers were dropped at the people's homes, And they, together with their families, refurbished them, and they were picked up, and they will be now donated to families in the Peterborough areas who are needy and take a bit. So I thought it's a good, and we want to continue with that, and provide this to families who cannot afford it.
That's great. I mean, thank you to your employees for that as well. Let me ask a final question, if I can. Again, you're part of a big global corporation. You interact with a lot of leaders. Tell me what you're learning about being a leader during a crisis.
So, Goli, this is a really good question, and I ponder on it also all the time. What have I learned from this? And I think the one thing I really learned about my organization is the resiliency of the people and our organization. Our people stepped up in a way I must admit I had not imagined. And this is a very strong, and I say I think we come out of this crisis stronger than before. People stepped up, and despite the missing interaction, things are moving fast. And I think that's the first one lesson I learned here. The second lesson, which I also learned for myself, is communication is key. Communication with employees, communication with customers, especially at the time of need. And when I focus towards our employees, everybody is in a different situation. Some people are not used to working from home for such a long period. They like interaction. They're extroverts. They're missing that. Some people have family issues. Somebody in the family is diagnosed with COVID. And this is the time now for us to, really enhance the communication and talk to them. And I think the reason our people step up is active communication, which we do. Same with the customers. I learned that this crisis brought us together with people we were having in the past formal communications. Today, I can have some personal communication because everybody's saying, oh, I have elderly parents, I'm worried. So it's a little personal touch coming to it. So communication is the second thing I learned. The other thing I really learned is the technology which we already had at hand, we were underutilizing it.
Yeah.
And this has been proven now that it can do much more. So these are the three things I have learned, and I feel these are important lessons which one learn and see. And for me also, it's been very important to really put the people in the front, because when we say health and safety of the people are number one priority, putting them first is also very, very important. And I think it makes a difference.
That's certainly another consistent theme throughout these podcasts. So thank you. Thank you for being the leader that you are. Thank you for taking the time to share with us, the great work that Siemens is doing as an essential service here in the country and around the world. And we appreciate you sharing, and all the best to you and your team.
Thank you very much, Goldie, and all the best to you and your family and your team. And stay safe.
Faisal Kazi is the president and CEO of Siemens Canada. If you would like to hear more of our conversations with business leaders about the COVID-19 crisis, you can find them all wherever you get your podcasts, or simply go to our website, speakingofbiz.ca. That's biz with a Z. Until next time, I'm Goldie Hyder. Thanks for joining us.